Hi there, Tracy Noriega coming at you, paying it forward on this Mindful Monday. Thanks for joining me here again at my altar, where I practice my mindfulness every morning before walking out the door. So I know we've been talking the last few weeks about a lot of self-care, self-talk, what we say to ourselves. So much to say on the subject, is there not? Well, I was reminded I was going through some stuff and looking for what to speak about today. And I came by some notes of a little webinar that I had attended by one of my colleagues in my business community, Natalia. And I can't pronounce her last name, so I'm not going to slaughter it, but I'll put her name down below and her website. I know she's been working on it, and hopefully it's done, but I'm going to include it there. She's an awesome woman from Brazil, and she lives in the Netherlands currently. So again, met her through my business community, and she had a little webinar about self-talk. And it was about speaking kind and being loving to yourself, a lot of themes on, focusing on what you can control and accepting what you can't control, right? And that whole acceptance piece, another part of mindfulness. So she did an exercise with us, and when I was reading through it again, finding it really valuable and a lot of what we've talked about here, she took us through a little exercise where she made a scenario, and because we're all in this business group, we're learning lots of online business, uh, techniques and things that none of us had known about before, making landing pages, making a website, doing things like that, right? So she painted the scenario of a friend or another business colleague, calling you up or, instant messaging you or something about them just being in total, straits about, oh my God, even like, and now I just remember, she goes, what if, they say, oh, Google just shut me down, or Facebook just shut my whole profile down because of my ads, right? And them going on and on about what they did wrong and I don't know, and their whole self-talk. So she asked us, what would you say to that person? Like, how would you handle it? And so we all wrote it down. And of course, it was sort of like, well, hey, did you give them a call? Did you find out, from them what it was? What was the, transgression? What'd you do wrong? Um, did you send an email, things like that. And if they started to talk to you about, oh, I'm such an idiot, I should have known better. It's like, again, what would we say to them? Well, hey, we're all learning. You did the best you could. What can we do different next time, right? And it was just really interesting because then she said, let's see, did you look it over? Did you ask other people in our community? You've got the business education, we can ask our mentors and such, right? So just looking at all the things we would say to somebody else. Then she had us do the same thing and turn it onto ourselves. What would you say to yourself now in that whole scenario? Totally the same. And it was just so enlightening because we wrote down the things that we would say. It was like, oh, maybe I did it wrong. I should have had it looked at somebody else. It was a whole bunch of shoulda, coulda, woulda. It was a lot of degradation and just speaking down to ourselves and, just all of that stuff that was just really, really negative that we wouldn't have said to anyone else, but we seemed to be okay with it. So then she asked us, and this was really an interesting part of it, to grab a picture of ourselves, at some other stage and point of in our life as a child, right? And she had asked, there was a gentleman on there, and she had asked him, okay, you have quite a bit of detail. Go ahead and grab your picture and now say those things to your child. And he couldn't, like, he kind of got welled up and it was just very emotional. And I mean, I could feel it too. And what she was asking, and he's like, I can't do that. I can't say that. I'm just looking and I can't say that. And it just really drove the point home, of what we do to ourselves, but we don't think, like, just because we're adults. And um, again, we wouldn't do it to another adult, but because it's ourselves, right? So it was a real big takeaway. And so now I have on my altar, I have two versions of me as little. One I don't really remember. That was me about, what is it? It says 3 years old on the playground over in New York where I was born. And then I have another one here, and that's, whoops, the lighting. Me at 11 in front of the house where I grew up. Well, the one that I lived in the longest. And I know that one, I know she felt really misunderstood and a lot of not accepted. So I have that one there too to remind me. But, the point being, again, us really taking inventory of our self-talk and what we say to ourselves. So what are you doing that is working for you? What do you do that does work for you? And really being honest with yourself, what that would be. So again, throw myself out there. I would say my morning meditations and my visualization and journaling, those are all things that really work out for me. And when I know I'm getting like, I take that time out and I stop myself and practice what I'm preaching here about, correcting my self-talk, being easy on myself, and just, looking at it. But then the other thing is, we all want something, and we need to look at two different things. In order to get what we want, what do we need to start doing that we're not, you know? And I know for me, sometimes that's, really, it's been spoken about, the scheduling out and just really adhering to a schedule, scheduling your time and saying, this is where I'm going to, choose to spend it. And I know a lot of times I end up not doing that because other things come in the way, and I allow distractions and other things that are really not emergencies come and swoop me away. So I know that's like one of those things. What do I need to start doing in order to get what I want? Well, I need to really start scheduling my time and being committed to it and being disciplined with it, right? And then what do you need to stop doing in order to get what you want, right? And that would be that negative self-talk. That would be that, just beating on yourself about what you did or didn't do, and just getting so low vibration over the things that, hey, it's going to happen. Mistakes are going to happen. That's how we learn. And what can we say to ourselves instead? So I just wanted to end with that about being mindful about, speaking kind to ourselves, being loving to ourselves, and, thinking about, I guess that would be our inner child, right? What are we saying to ourselves that, again, we wouldn't say to somebody else, and being conscientious of that, being very mindful of how we speak to ourselves. Okay. All right. Well, that's it. And thank you for being here. I invite you to comment below about anything that you know that you need to start doing in order to get what you want, and something that maybe you need to stop doing in order to get what you want. And on the positive side, what are you doing that you know is really working out for you? Okay, so I invite you to share your comments below, like, subscribe, and anything else you want to do, please share. I appreciate that as well. And again, have a mindful Monday and a whole mindful week at that. All right. Take care, you guys. Ciao for now. Cheers.